Hi, MJ.
Hi, MJ. How are you?
Let me start.
I'm okay. How are you guys?
Good.
And recording in progress.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Cool. So hello, everybody. You are all virtual today,
Oh wow.
but you can
You're
see
up
the
there.
screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I guess so, huh? Yeah, we're gonna have lunch, all four of us here by ourselves. Kaon, Melanie, and Santi and I, we're all gonna have lunch. We're gonna all eat all your lunch today.
Roxanne, we need to do the meeting one day at the office here in North Park.
You know, we were doing an alternate of one time here, one time there. But then not just once, twice we had our speakers go to the wrong place. And after that, we decided that we're just going to have them all here so that we get some coverage for this office. And also, we don't have confusion for our speakers of going to the wrong place if it's always held in Del Mar. So that was the reason why we switched to only Del Mar. So, let's talk about the news of the day. Anybody has had a chance to listen to the news of the day, the biggest news of the day?
What did they drop a certain percent of the mortgage rates?
Interesting that you're asking about that, because anybody has we'll have the mortgage guru give us some updates on the mortgage rates.
Yeah, so one important distinction that needs to be made is that although we see news out there when the Fed is cutting interest rates, that does not necessarily mean it's not.
Can't hear him.
Ion's a little hard to hear.
Can you hear me better now? Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, now.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
You take over then.
I thought it was on your. Okay.
No, that's for that one.
I see. Okay, so one important distinction to be made, which some of you guys might recognize, is that when you see news relating to the Fed and the cutting of interest rates, that's not directly tied to mortgage rates. Mm-hmm. So it is a good thing that the Fed is beginning to cut rates, but you will notice, just like this most recent time, mortgage rates actually slightly ticked upward, and it's because of this that they're not related. The federal funds rate is more closely tied to like short-term debt and things like that, and so overall, it's still a good thing because when the Fed is cutting interest rates, it's because they've seen inflation taming down a little bit. They see fractures in the jobs reports. And so these things are all really important for mortgage rates to come down as well. So overall, we're heading in a really good direction. And it's definitely noteworthy that the Federal Reserve is cutting their rates, but you'll notice this is not directly like tied to each other. They're certainly separate things. No.
I think the other thing that you probably want to know is that the mortgage industry is super sensitive to this interest rate talk. So when the interest rate talk comes with saying we expect the Fed to cut rates, that's when the rates go down, not necessarily when the Fed actually cuts the rate. So I think if you actually are following it, when there was talk of the interest rates coming down, like about a month ago, we saw interest rates come down.
Yeah, so like it's public knowledge. If you want to like reiterate to them, it becomes public knowledge, and so some of it all stuff we already know. Just like a stock, if there's news and stuff that comes out, it's already factored in the stock.
Exactly. So exactly the same thing as stocks. You're right. When there's hearsay that some stock is going to do well, that's when the stock is actually you see the stock moving. So same thing with the interest rate. The interest rate already came down about a month ago. So now the Fed cutting into the interest rate is not going to make
It's expected, so if for some reason they go against that expectation,
yeah,
now you might see changes, right? Because nobody counted on this.
Right,
Went
right.
against expectation.
right. So that's as far as interest rate goes. The other industry news. Anybody heard of the other industry news? So, okay, so there's two other industry news that are noteworthy. So I'll go with the bigger one or the smaller one.
Go with the big one. Go with the big one.
The big one is Compass just proposed to buy Anywhere. And in case that you guys don't know what Anywhere is the parent company of that holds a whole slew of brokerages. And it's funny because we all think that these are separate brands, but they actually are not. They're all under the same company. And that includes Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Pacific Sotheby's, Corcoran Group, Better Homes and Gardens, ERA, and
Better to say what it doesn't include.
Wait, so Compass is buying them?
Compass has proposed to buy Anywhere for $1.6 billion. And that includes all of the companies that I just mentioned. And did I leave anybody out?
Are they trying to make a monopoly or what?
Did I leave anybody out?
Did you say
Any other companies?
Pemberley Realty, are they buying you too?
So no, EXP is separate. EXP is a publicly traded company. So is Compass, publicly traded company. So is Anywhere. Anywhere, it's important to note. Anywhere is also a publicly traded company. But here's where the this stuff comes in. The reason why this has happened is because Anywhere supposedly has a whole bunch of debt, and they were not able to service their debt. Therefore, they were forced to sell, which is the same thing that happened to Redfin. What was it? A month ago or 2 months ago? I think we did cover this as well. That Redfin was bought out by Rocket Mortgage, essentially for the same reason that they were not able to service their debt any longer.
Do you know what type of debt
They have?
Yeah.
So what I heard was that they had pumped a lot of money into their brand, and that's what created this massive amount of debt that they weren't able to service anymore. Now, MJ, to answer your question, as far as Pemberley and Compass, been there, done that. So, not going to go play that game again. To answer the question that Adamola had in terms of are they trying to create a monopoly? Well, it certainly looks that way. It remains to be seen whether or not the deal will go through, because these massive mergers and acquisitions, they have to go through the SEC and they have to get approved. I don't think that the SEC that we have right now will oppose any mergers or acquisitions, because you still have a lot of other bigger ones that are on their own. I think it remains to be seen how this will affect the MLSs, because when you have a company of that size, basically it's $350,000, 350,000 agents. That's the new company is going to be consist of. So when you have a company of that size, and I believe in the U.S. we have about a million or 1.5 million agents. So that's a sizable number, and we'll see how this plays out in terms of the control of the MLSs and how that's going to be affected. One thing that I would say, and this is what I was talking this morning, that in an environment like this, it really becomes important to put your head down, and work and service the client, and also to develop your skills to be a better agent, because that's what's going to elevate you against the next guy. So the third news, anybody else has anything to say about this one? And it's very interesting and timely, because August of last year we had a bombshell of commissions dropped on us, right? Exactly about a year and a month ago, we had that bombshell drop on us, and now we have this bombshell. And the reason why I'm saying that this is a bombshell is because our industry, the real estate industry, has never seen so many mergers and acquisitions happen. Which, by the way, I don't know if you also know that the parent company of CoreLogic also bought Keller Williams. But this was news that happened like a couple of weeks ago, so I don't know if we discussed it or not. Any questions about this? Anybody, any questions about this?
Not me.
No.
All right, so the other news is also the same law firm that sued NAR for the whole commission stuff is now suing Zillow for the premise that Zillow is not properly disclosing to the buyers that are coming to their platform that they are selling the buyers as leads to the agents that are then paying Zillow back once the transaction closes. So that's the other lawsuit that that Zillow is dealing with, and I guess we'll see how that one plays out into the whole thing, because the law firm's claim is also that this causes commissions to be inflated, which we all know that is not true, but we definitely don't want to go that route. Okay, all right. Any questions about that one?
Will that cause Zillow to
No, not right now.
to not be able to? Do you think there's a chance that they'll make it so that Zillow can't sell their leads anymore because of it, or basically have to disclose in a different way or do something different?
So going back a little bit and talk about history a little bit more. So Realtor.com used to be owned by NAR. Okay, and when Realtor.com was owned by NAR, Realtor.com was the most popular, the best platform that we had. Then NAR decided that, okay, they built this fantastic platform and they want to cash out on it, and they sold it off to one of the big aggregates. I can't remember who. And at the same time, they also decided to sell our data to basically all the aggregates, and without asking agents for agents' permission. So before that, the agent was basically the listing agent was in control of the data about the listing that they had. After that, after they basically put in syndication, then you basically had no control, right? Your listing went on the MLS because you had to put it on the MLS, and then from the MLS, it just went automatically to all these portals. And at first, all the listing agents were really, really upset about this, because all of a sudden you lost control. You lost leads coming directly to you, the listing agent. Leads started going out to all these platforms, and then from there, Zillow started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because all these leads were going into all these platforms, and they weren't, and they still aren't prominently displaying the listing agent as the person in charge. The agent that was paying those portals to be displayed was the agent that the buyers thought, or buyers or leads thought, was the agent to go to, right? And that's turned out to be what we have today. But that's not our topic. So now let's move on to our topic, which is closing skills, because don't want to get distracted more and lose the sight of what we're talking about. So now going into closing skills and what they are, just so that that I know you guys are all there. Anybody has any idea why closing skills are so important, or are they important?
Did it increase conversion?
Increase conversion? Yeah, yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else online? Why closing skills are so important?
Or
Closing gets you paid.
Ah, thank you, Candace. Closing can get you paid. Yeah.
and then also good closing skills mean repeat business later on.
Yeah, because if you are able to convert the person into a closed transaction, then from there comes trust. Then from there comes referrals, and from there comes repeat business, right? So let's keep going now and talk about other things. So why closing skills matter. Knowing your client. Now we've talked about this in different settings, and I know you and I always talk about the DISC profiles, and generally, what's your opinion about DISC profiles?
I mean, I don't. I mean, yeah, I can help you, but I don't really think it's that you know, important. I mean, it can help you work better with someone, definitely, if you know what their disc profile is. But I don't think you should just push someone away just because of a disc profile.
Well,
They can help
if
you work.
you're working with clients, right, you don't have the luxury of pushing them away, right? You just have to you just have to basically hone in your skill set of, okay, trying to figure out what their profile is, what their personality profile is, so that you can convert them and you can close on them, right? And then head, heart, and gut framework in terms of it goes hand in hand with this profile to try to figure out how people operate, right? We were having a conversation yesterday or over the weekend with set of clients, and everything that I was saying, they were objecting to, and because they were highly emotional, and I was presenting facts. And if I'm presenting facts to somebody that's all in their heart, and I'm talking about what's in the head, am I going to be connecting to them? No, right? So that's basically head, heart, and gut framework. And then so let's keep going through and talk about as many as these that we can talk about. Again, we talked about why closing matters, right? Because closing is the final step before you actually are able to get the client to be on board with you. And of course, the strong closers are going to simply get more business. So, um, uh, Nestor, 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 are you there? So, speaking of
What's going on, guys?
Nestor, how did your
Yeah, can you guys hear?
we can hear you. How did your presentation go yesterday?
Good presentation. If everything goes well, I should have the signatures today. Yeah, it's just I caught him at the moment. I did the full presentation with the sellers, though the wife is not available to be present, so we went to glide signatures
Oh, so you did. So you presented to the husband.
for the husband, correct?
Okay, and then did you get the husband to sign in?
No, we ended up. I told him. Well, I mean, we're essentially I sent it over and a glide for signatures. And it's one of those things where they're on board. They're on board with everything.
Mm-hmm.
The wife, she was present. She just had to leave during the presentation, and then they submitted their application today to get their loan approved. So long as they get their loan approved, we're going to move forward with everything.
Got it. Got it. Okay. All right. Very good. So we're talking about strong closers, right? And I would say you are a strong closer. The majority of the appointments that you have gone on, you have come back with a signed contract. So I would say that's a strong closer. So we'll go through and as you can take a look at these and give us more pointers, that would be good. So let's keep going. Let's keep going and let's get into a disc profile. And anybody has seen this diagram, and based on this diagram, let's see if you guys can say what you think you are. Keon, let's start with you.
So I've actually done one of these a very long time ago. It was kind of like this. The results had to come back, and they were contingent upon me getting my job offer. So the bank I worked for was really relying on this profile assessment. I don't remember exactly what my results were, but I mean, like, I think it's really hard for me to gauge this on myself. I think it's best if somebody did it on me who knows me well. But you know, they're all really good traits in my opinion. You know, so I can give you some feedback. I think that if you have maybe too much of one, you're starting to become at a disadvantage. So like, I think that if we all do a disc assessment, we see maybe we're like really strong and heavy in one aspect, it's important to make sure that it doesn't like take away from our closing skills, in my opinion. So I mean, it's really hard for me to be like unbiased and like, but I would say like if I'm really guiding something to try to be closed, like you need to focus on the D aspect. Otherwise things just kind of get stuck and they don't like progress like at the speed that you guys all want, right? So like it's really important.
So you're basically saying that you have to develop some dominant skills if you want to close and if you want to move forward, because without that much assertiveness, you can't close. Therefore, you can't move forward with the client.
Exactly. I think that's really important, and I think it's better to like be mindful of that, because if like other people, like if maybe you're like maybe a little more like introverted or shy or something like that, you feel like you don't want to insult somebody or be the driver in this whole thing, the professional.
Yeah.
And then that's when you become like the order taker, right? Where they tell you what the price is and they tell you the timelines and all that stuff, and now you're kind of just like
you become ineffective.
You're a prisoner to them, and then you're just hoping for the best.
Yeah.
You're not in the driver's seat.
Yeah. Let's go with somebody else. Juan, what's your personality profile?
It's all over the place, Roxanne. I don't even know. Because I can relate to some of the in the D's, and I also can relate something on the S, but I also can relate something on the C's.
So, and it's interesting that you say this, because in my opinion, and I think this is something, if you study this more in depth, you see that everybody has a little bit of everything, right? But it's important to know yourself and know which one is more of a dominant one. And you normally have one that's more dominant, one that's less dominant, and then the other two that are kind of like floating, right? And like for example, when I'm thinking of myself, I know that I'm a high D, right? And I know one of those traits about being a high D is that I like bullet points because I see, like, read, direct, right? Results oriented, okay? And so I need things fast. And so bullet point works better for me than like a whole description of things, right? And then if I'm working with somebody else, if I know that that person is some of the other personalities, then I've got to make sure that I adapt myself so that they're not threatened by me, right? Because a high D can easily threaten a high S, right? So
Right.
you see what I mean, Santi, by it's not just in the sense of in one sense, but in sales it becomes very handy as well, because you got to make sure that you're reading the other person to see what's the buttons that they have, so that you make sure that you work around those buttons and don't push the wrong one, because then you lose them altogether, right? Um, MJ, do you see this, and do you have any feedback about this whole how
Yes.
you deal with the client?
Yeah, I think mine would be like like the eye, effective traits, people oriented, persuasive, good communicator. I do talk too much, overly enthusiastic. Like that kind of really falls with me. I can kind of relate to that one, with the way I am, and I think sometimes one of the best advice that I have received is sometimes we just have to listen to the people, right?
Yep.
And in the middle of the whole thing, we get so excited, we want to help them, we want to do this, we want to do that, and we forget some of those things that we need to, they're easy to forget, obviously, because you get so enthusiastic about wanting to help and wanting to, be their savior, and then you end up, dropping the ball.
Dropping the ball because you're going one way and they're going the other way, and you just basically crossed each other and you never met. So
Right.
right.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
so I'm going to keep going to the next slide of this personality profile. This slide more talks a lot about the fears of each one, right? The D driver, fear of being taken advantage of, wants quick, confident answers, right? So so you can see that, and in our business, that is very common because you're dealing with high ticket items, so the fear of being taken advantage of could be very, very high. So so you got to make sure that you learn how to talk to each one of these personality profiles. Influencers, high eyes, like MJ, wants personalization before professionalism. So it's a lot of it's a lot of heart versus head, right? So if you relate the heart versus head versus gut to this, then you see how they relate to each other, right? So the high I is also high in heart, right? Your high D is in their head. They're not that necessarily very touchy feely. They're not necessarily very they're not very nurturing, right? So then like, for example, me, I know that I have to become more nurturing, otherwise I'm going to lose them. And a lot of the times that happens. Nestor, which personality profile? Because of the fact that you're a strong closer, which personality profile would you say you are?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Roxanne. I'm also very impatient, and I know You know, for me, it's like a task-driven mindset. So I'm a high D for sure. But even then, when I stand in front of people, and I think for all of us, it's all, you know, our own is whatever, right? It's good to understand it, but I think it's more important to be able to identify the person across from you quickly
Right.
and and know how to adjust to those. You're absolutely right. A high D and a high D might not even get together that, or you know, they'll do together well, but you also, I don't know. I think there's a little bit more to it. You know, when you pair the two up.
Mm-hmm.
In any case, you know, but if you do like a D with an I, like you were saying, you know, and if you're, what I'm trying to say is if you're acting one way towards one that you might not mesh well with, that could be a deciding factor for the other person to work with you or not. So I think it's important for us to be able to read the others.
To be able to read the other ones, and look at the S's and the C's. So S's fear change, need a reassurance and confidence, exactly like we're talking about. They need to be nurtured, right? So if you're a high D, and to some extent, all of us, if we're in sales, we have a lot of D in us, right? Because otherwise we wouldn't choose the profession of being in sales. So we have to make sure that we give a lot of the S and the C, right? Because that's where our audience is going to be, at least at that moment, right? If they are if they're in a sense where they need to be serviced, they're in a critical moment in their lives when they're buying or selling, and highly emotional event happening around their lives, they're going to need a lot of reassurance and confidence that comes from us, and also a lot of detail and accuracy that needs to be given at the time, which is hard for us D's, right? Another thing about us D's is that we are not necessarily very detail oriented, but in the space we are at, we have to be, right? So now, the framework of head, heart, and gut. Okay, and framework of head, heart, and gut. We talked a lot about the head, and we talked a lot about the heart. But what about the gut? What about the gut?
Like where you just have a feeling, it's not a direct explanation, but you just have a feeling based on everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so how does that like? What about?
There is actually a neurological explanation for when you're making decisions with the gut. There is because of the fact that we digest food through our gut, there's actually a lot of nerves that are in the gut, and that's the reason why when you say my gut says for me to do this and that, it's not just bullshit that we say it. It actually is true that there's a lot of nerves that you have within your gut, and it's almost kind of like I would say you can think of it this way. If your conscious mind is thinking with your head, your unconscious mind is thinking with your gut. That's the way I kind of like think of how you relate to it, and how you explain it. But we all know that a lot of the decisions we make with our gut, don't you think?
Yeah, I work a lot off gut feeling.
There you go. But now you know that if you are making decisions based on your gut feeling, it's not just like, you know, there's actually some science behind it why you say I have a gut feeling about this.
Would you relate that to
Roxanne, would that also fall under intuition?
Yeah, that's what I was literally
Exactly.
going to say. Would you
Exactly.
relate that to intuition?
Well, but what is intuition, right? Is intuition within your own ability. It's just that when you're looking with your conscious mind, you're just looking in this, what's in front of you, and your gut and your subconscious is seeing things a lot larger, and therefore you attribute that to intuition, but it's really you who's having this knowledge. It's just whether or not you're tapped into, listening to that side of you or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hard to like wrap my head around, honestly. I think that like when I think of gut, I think of like I can't, if I went to like court or something, I can't prove it right this second, but I know it's the right decision. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know, it's a little like,
Yeah, so it's
out
you could call it intuition, you could call it your subconscious, whatever you want to call it. It's still within your ability that is getting you there, right? So that's the third part of basically head, heart, and gut framework. And when you're working with clients, you see this happen a lot as well, right? So if you're aware of it, then you can work with it a lot more, right? So now 4 stages of closing, and we all have been in places where we were really successful in closing, or we had a really hard time in closing, right? So build trust early, uncover motivation, remove roadblocks, ask for the business, right? Basically the 4 stages. And MJ, I'm going through a lot of struggle right now in closing a couple of different clients, and I know that you just had an experience with that, and so can we talk about this a little bit, about the 4 stages, and how we can massage these 4 steps for all of us to be better closers, right?
Right.
So build trust early, uncover motivation. Like, for example, let's go with motivation, right? Like, for example, I have this one couple right now that really like one of our listings, and they really like the listing. They're highly emotional about it, but I just can't get them to basically pull the trigger. And when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, what is the motivation here? Is the motivation to stay safe and stay where they're at, or is the motivation to really basically move and get more space and get a better life? But with all the push and pull that I'm getting from them, I just can't figure out which one is the motivation. But if I did get that motivation, then you can move easily to the next one, right? Remove roadblocks, and then boom, you get a sale that would be really nice, right? So does that make sense, MJ?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. So let's keep going, because this is the one that I really like to share with you. As far as the actual closings, right? And I think this is the meat and potatoes. This is the bread and butter of closing. How many types of closes are there, and which one do you use at what point, and and what's better. So you're smiling, so go for it. Tell me what you're thinking when I'm putting this in front of you.
well, what I think is that I really need to like be mindful of all the different closing methods and the audience that I'm dealing with. So sometimes I go to the closing method that I'm most comfortable with, and
Which is what? Which one?
I think I'm the best at it. I haven't read through like all of it quite yet, but it would most likely be like just strictly like logical, like related. But not everybody is like that. We all know. Some dude's a doctor, some dude's a teacher, somebody could be a mailman. You never know, and so it's really important to like know all the tools that we have and pick the right one.
Pick the right one, exactly. The one that I don't use very often, but I think that it's fun to use is why not close. Santi, so I'm thinking $1 million. Would that sound good to you for the price?
The solo my home?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not too sure.
Why not?
I think my home is worth a lot more.
Okay. Well, how much do you think your house is worth?
1.2.
1.2. Okay, so given that the market is soft and there are not that many buyers out there, I think that if you go in at 1.2, even though I agree with you, it's worth 1.2, but buyers right now are not that many and they're shy. So if we want to be aggressive, we can go in at $1 million. But how about we meet in the middle and go in at 1.1? Would that be okay?
That's a lot better.
Okay. So would you like to move forward?
Sure.
All right. Here it is. Let's sign. Okay. So all of those phrases were closing phrases, right? To get you to actually sign the contract, right? At the end of the day, at the end of each one, you want to go into sign the contract, right?
Couldn't you bring up, like in that conversation, like, let's say they give you I think my home is valued 1.2. I know how you were mentioning that. Why not list your home at 1 million? Then I said, I think it's worth 1.2. Couldn't you follow up with then why not we'll list that 1.2 and see what the market says, and then we can work on it.
I could have said that. Totally. I could have totally said that. Right now, with the market that we're in, I think we also have to be careful because at the end of the day, no matter what happens throughout the sale, whose fault is it always? So given that a lot of the stuff is sitting months on end, I think if you can get a price reduction right from the get-go, you're gonna be in the driver's seat because there is no guarantees that we even list at $1 million and you get any offers, right? So at least let's let's be more aggressive on the price so that you don't end up being the bad guy, because you will always end up as the bad guy at the end of the day if you don't close successfully, right? So let's talk about some other ones. Assumption close. I love assumption close when I go on a listing appointment. If I'm going on a listing appointment, right, and my language, right, like right from the get-go, we're going to do this. We're going to take a picture at this time, and we're going to do the staging at this time, and we're going to go on the market at this time, and we're going to do our first open house at this time. What am I just doing?
You're assuming the listing.
I'm assuming the listing and I'm setting up the appointments, and then right after that, okay. So do you have any questions about any of those? Okay, so here's the contract. Let's sign so we can get started. I assume the whole time, right? And if they don't object, then I just move right in. Now that doesn't work for everybody, right? But for the ones that
like a high D person, maybe no.
No. Why not?
Because they feel like possibly being taken advantage of, and they're the ones who like to drive.
Exactly. So let's look at those. Which one do you think it would work for a high D?
Maybe offer them the option codes.
Bingo. That's what I would pick also, right? Because you're giving them a preference, and if you go with option 1 and they pick it, they win. If you go with option 2 and they pick it, they still win. So if you present them with win-win, and they have the fear of being taken advantage of, now you presented them with 2 scenarios. They're not going to get taken advantage of because they're winning at both ends, right?
Yeah, they're the ones that start.
And they're the ones that are deciding. Exactly. Adamola, which one would close on you? Adamola, which closing works on you?
Like works on me as in like which one would I use?
If I'm trying to sell you something, which closing would work on you? Out of these
The first one.
assumption close. Interesting. Why?
I mean, I just assume that like if you are the expert, that you would know where like you would direct me.
Okay, so I'm going to guess and say he's a high S because he's letting the other person.
Counting on your track record before the meeting. Counting on it.
Right?
Yeah.
So I would say that he's probably
Right.
an S personality.
Or no?
I think my answers is over here too.
Nestor, I'm gonna mute you. There we go. So that's what I would say about the cue that he just gave me. Candace, which one would work best for you?
Really quick, guys. I actually wanted to bring something up on the assumption.
Yeah.
So I have a real estate friend that was giving an example of a listing presentation, and he was like, "You know what I do? I bring the lockbox with me to the listing appointment.
That's
and when I
it.
sit down at the table. I set the lockbox down at the table, and it gives them an assumption, or builds the assumption that when we get done at the table, they're going to give me a spare key so I can put it in the lockbox."
Bingo.
And I thought it was powerful. And at first in my head, I rejected it. I was like, "No way, you don't want to do that." And then afterwards, I was just kind of thinking about it. I was like, "Man, that's gold," you know?
Yeah, that's amazing.
You know, that's just, and sometimes I was thinking about like car sales, you know, where they give you the keys, right?
That's
You
it.
sit down and you're like, "Oh, how do you like the car? Let me park it in front," right? They don't tell you that, but they park it right there in front. "Yeah, we're going to go get the car cleaned up for you." I have no idea whether you can even purchase it yet. And then they leave you the keys, so, you know, like, they don't tell you, "Here are the keys," but when you're done test driving it, they just don't take them back.
Okay,
So you're sitting there with the keys, and they have the car in front, you know, and they're just setting up the clothes. So
here's what I would beg to differ on that one though, on what you just said. On the lockbox, I totally agree with you. That's an assumption close. But on the dealership giving you the keys and having you drive the car, I would beg to differ. I would say that's a puppy dog close.
Oh, okay, yes, I agree with that.
Right? Because look, visualize ownership, emotions drive decisions, right? So if I'm giving you the key and I'm telling you, go ahead and drive, and how was your drive? Did you enjoy it? How did the engine sound when you pressed on the gas? Right?
That would work on me in a dealership, yes.
Did you like the way that the wind goes through your hair with the top open?
Yes.
Right? That's a puppy dog clothes, right?
And then the lockbooks. I mean, yeah, those.
The lockbox, I would say, it's an assumption close. You're assuming that you're going to give me keys.
How can you apply one of these to a buyer to get them to sign a, let's say, a BRBC?
So, we're in September, right? Do you get together with your family for Christmas? Wouldn't it be amazing so that this year you're going to be able to host Christmas at your house? Where do you think you're going to want to put the Christmas tree? Don't you think that right there, look, it's right next to that fireplace. It's perfect for your Christmas tree. Don't you think this is a perfect house? Do you see what I'm seeing right now? Let's go ahead and do it. Let's write the offer. That would be a puppy dog close, right? And it works a lot of the times. You see people come in. Now, sometimes you have the crazy ones that they come in and measure for their dining table, and they still are afraid to actually, write the offer. But a lot of the times, people make decisions based on their emotions.
And I think even on the puppy dog, it's always, I think with that one, if you can identify if you're with a couple, especially a husband and wife, and you have a driver, and yes, they're the decision makers, but if they have, like, for example, whether it be the wife or the vice versa, and you notice that you can kind of sell them on the feelings, set that up. Oh, like, think about the baby shower in this room,
Oh,
think
yeah.
about the guests, think about, this backyard, the get-togethers or whatever with the girls, and then next thing you know, the wife is telling the husband, like, I want this house, and if that happens, the decision maker is going to be influenced.
Or you can also say like the closet, the walk-in closet for the wife.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, the list goes on the puppy dog clothes.
Some of this puppy dog clothes actually is also like there's logic in it. You can say like, oh my God, wouldn't you love this like walkability for your dog and all that? It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
But it's really like kind of a need too.
So see that then you would move from there to list summary close, right?
Yeah.
Because then you're like, okay, let's
start with
and
puppy dog, and then you
that's right, and then you move on to the next one, right? And a lot of the times you see on HGTV, on House Hunters International or House Hunters whatever domestic, that's what they do. They set the 3 properties, and then they put the list of why the property is good or bad, right? So we're at our hour, and this was the most important slide I wanted to share, but I also want to share our sponsor. So Ted, you've seen him everywhere. This man, there's not a place that he's not in. I don't know how he does it, but he is he's just tireless. So you want to give a little bit of a and come over here, because our whole team is on Zoom today. They didn't want to make the haul of coming up to Del Mar, so.
Not true, Roxanne. It's not true.
So here is Ted. I don't know where the camera will show you or not, but there you are. They're there. So give a little bit of who you are, because you're the man.
I'm trying to be one day. And how long do I talk? Hour, 2 hours?
5 minutes.
5 minutes?
We'll
Okay.
give you another 20 minutes to on our Zoom call, but
Yeah.
yeah.
This is perfect. Okay, good. Well, anyways, nice to meet you all, even though I can't see it. So what I do are loans that banks won't do. And I'm what they call a situational lender. Oh, there you go. There's some people there. So every time I get a call, the first thing says, hey, Ted, I got this situation, and can you help me out? So it's always somebody in trouble, or maybe not in trouble, but there's no way they're going to get a loan through a bank. So that's kind of what we do. A good example recently was I got a call where a guy who was buying another property was looking for $660,000 and he needed it in a week. And in our world, that's not a big deal. We can do that. We can close loans in 3 days, but a week's actually a little bit better. It's a little bit longer. But yeah, since the property was free and clear, to us, it's a no-brainer. It should be, and if the value is $5 million, lending $600. So there's no risk really in lending the money. So it's really just getting it done in time and making sure he has the money for the purchase. And the deal on that, the rate's 11%, sometimes 10.5%. Loan was for 1 year, and I think we did it for 1.5 points. So that's kind of the pricing on most private money loans. All right, so other deals we got going, doing a lot of bridge loans, and I'm sure you come across it.
Speaking of the devil.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we have a pretty good deal, and the bottom line, it's all about having equity in the current residence. A lot of people do, and some people are fortunate to have no loan on the property, but if the loan to value is like 10, 20, 30%, we can almost give you 100% on the new purchase. So the only thing you need to come in is with closing costs. So bottom line is you cross both properties, we'll give you all the money for the purchase. Let's just say it's $1 million purchase. We'll give you, and they currently own a house that's worth $1 million or close to it. We'll give you the full $1 million. And then you've got 1 year, there's no prepayment penalty, which is huge. The cost is somewhere around 1 to 1.25, 1.5 in that range. There's no real qualifications. There's no real, they look at credit, but again, it's all common sense. So bottom line, it's an easy loan to get. It usually takes about 14 to 21 days on that. There's a TRID lock. So you can't do the quick 3 days on stuff like that. We do have an equity line. So if you have somebody who's doing fix and flips, and this is one way they can put an equity line on their property. And these aren't investment properties, not owner occupied, because you go to Bank of America. But these are private money equity lines, so you don't really qualify for them. It's really just done on the equity of the property. We'll go up to 60%. Now I've done equity lines up to $5 million. So it's a good way to use the money for all different things. One is obviously fix and flips, but also, for a construction deal. Instead of going and get a construction loan, that equity line can be a construction loan. And so the rates on that varies on if it's a first or second, but somewhere between 11 to 13 if it's a second, 13 obviously. And this could be 3 years, no prepayment. So that's that one. We do a lot of owner occupied. I know most hard money lenders won't touch owner occupied, and we'll do seconds on those. Loan to values have to be good on seconds, at least on owner occupied 50, on investment 60%. We do a lot of cross collateral, even though I just talked about the bridge loan. There's a lot of deals, mainly because people have so much equity. So I have a client that is doing 100% on fix and flips actually. And he has a residence that's free and clear, so we just cross it, and we give him 100% of the financing for the fix and flip. So that's huge. Commercial loans, not a problem. Foreign nationals, again, the key is equity. If you don't have credit, that's not a problem. If you don't have income, that's not a problem. It's all about loan to value. Generally, we like to have 30% down on a foreign national. The more the merrier, it makes it easier. The bigger loan amounts, let's just say it's a $5 million purchase, somewhere around 30 to 35%, more like 35 on those larger loans. But again, not a problem. You have to be careful. These things have to be for investment on some of these deals. Sometimes they can't get an owner occupied down on that stuff. Let's see, fix and flips, man. I do a ton of these deals, and they're easy to get. Even if you don't have experience, we can get these done. In general, if you have no experience, it's 15 to 20% on the down payment. We'll give you 100% of the money to fix it up. All you need is a 650 FICO.